Hi, Dougie. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Good. Thanks. For our followers that might not know what you do, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, my name's Dougie Poynter, and I play bass guitar for a band called Mcfly.
Awesome. And for those watching that don't know, Love the Oceans. So we are a marine conservation charity based in Mozambique, which is where I'm talking to you guys from. If you've seen our previous Q&As, you will have just seen me inside a mosquito net talking. But today I get to be outside because we're filming this in daylight, which is really nice.
Show them the view. Show them the view. Show them the view.
So this is my porch view, which I'm very lucky, I know, to have.
Damn.
And the weather's really nice at the moment. We went out supping yesterday and I got a little, quite burnt, hence the pink tinge right now. Yeah, so we basically are working to establish a marine protected area in this region, which is Jangamo in Mozambique. And we do that through a bunch of different research and community outreach work. We do fisheries research, humpback whales, coral reef, ocean trash, megafauna, so whale sharks, manta rays, and humpback whales. And then we teach 2 community outreach projects as well, teaching basic marine resource management and swimming lessons. So we do, heaps of different stuff. And we are running this series, interviewing some really cool people to talk about conservation and sustainability and living more sustainably in this current very weird world that we're all living in. And we have Dougie on, who recently published a book called Plastic Sucks, which we're going to talk about as well during this Q&A.
Oh, cool.
If that's cool with you.
Yeah, totally.
But before we get into everything, tell me about meeting David Attenborough, because I went through your Instagram for graphics for this Q&A and I saw photos of you guys together. How was that? What did you talk about? I'm a bit of a fangirl for David Attenborough, so.
Well, same. I'm a fangirl for David Attenborough. How did that happen? Well, I kind of met him a couple of times before. We live pretty close to each other. We live, I guess, like a block away, in the same area. About a 5-minute walk from each other.
That is quite the claim to fame.
Yeah, so I knew where he lived. I'd already stalked him down. And we got asked to. They asked me to do this thing for Richmond Park. We both live in Richmond. It was like raising. It was coming up to the summer. It was raising awareness for, that Richmond Park is a wildlife sanctuary, not just a park. It was to raise awareness for people who are going in there and starting barbecues and stuff like that. And then when they launched the project at the Royal Geographical Society, they asked if would I come and would I mind sharing a car on the way there. And I was like, yeah, sure. And they're like, okay, cool, you'll be sharing with David. So the car picked me up at like 7:30 in the morning, and then at 7:31 we picked David up.
That is so cool.
yeah, we shared a car all the way there, just me and him. It was literally, that was the best car journey of my entire life.
What did you talk about? Like, how do you even start a conversation with him? Like, he's so iconic and like a national treasure. Like, how do you even? What did you say?
I mean, I had a list of questions. I didn't really sleep the night before. It was weird. He was everything he wanted to be and more, but it's just a regular guy. But an absolute fountain of knowledge.
Yeah.
And we just like chatted the whole way there. Like everything he said just sounded like it deserved a round of applause afterwards. It was just so but it was so humble as well. Like he'd give this huge amazing answer about ants or something, and it would go, be like a 5-minute long answer. And they'd be like, "Oh, well, what do I know? I'm not an expert in that field." I'm like,
So humble.
You're the voice of God, so yeah.
I watched
But yeah, there was.
I watched a live with Sylvia Earle the other day. For people watching that don't know what who Sylvia Earle is, she's basically like the female Jacques Cousteau. She's like a pioneering scientist, and she's one of my massive idols because there's not many females in science and in marine stuff. And again, like it was exactly the same. Like everything she said, I just wanted like standing applause. Like every sentence, just the way she said it. Like it just comes out, and the stuff that comes out of her mouth is like crazy inspirational and just like on point, and like makes you want to like get up and act and like do stuff right now. Like it's not really any surprise that like all of his series have had such a huge, like even like, so I do talks in like schools and stuff and universities, and after Blue Planet came out, every teacher, like every student, everyone was talking about Blue Planet, and everyone was like, how has this changed like how people are acting? And I'm like, the fact that I'm here talking to you, like that's like that, like it wouldn't have happened before, and now people actually want to like learn about, I don't know, the ocean, and people are learning from home, like watching amazing documentaries that, I mean, most of us won't get to see that kind of stuff in our lifetimes. So being able to see it on our screens, all brought to life with the voice of God.
He just has such power, though, right? Just the way that he, and that's not. I guess I always thought that, obviously it is pre-written, but he could just have a great voice. It's written by some experts in a room somewhere, but he actually really, really, really knows his stuff. Like he knew every zoological, biological term. I thought I knew my stuff on reptiles, and we were chatting about chameleons, and we were talking about this chameleon that gives birth to live young, and he was like, "Oh, you mean Camellia dilepus?" And I was like, "Okay, oh, we're doing Latin names, okay, right."
Yeah, I think it's always funny when you talk to like other people working in similar industries where you think that you know something and then they just say stuff that you had. I think that's one of the things I love about like our staff body and stuff. Everyone has their own kind of thing that they specialize in, and it's so cool learning from other people, like stuff that if you thought you knew something and then someone's like, oh, but this and all this extra knowledge that you didn't know before, and I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. I can't I don't know, I'd be like a sponge if I was David Asper, just like tell me everything. Okay.
I recorded it because I was worried, actually, like you said, I was worried that I would run out of things to say. What would I talk about? So I interviewed him for a magazine, and I have the conversation on tape.
Nice.
Which I listen to daily.
Yeah, daily inspiration dose. Out of his documentaries, do you have any that are like anything that like triggered you to live differently, or like one that spoke to you more than others, or anything like that, or a moment in one of them that spoke to you?
Man, I think probably the like earlier ones from when I was younger, like The Secret Life of Plants and Life in the Undergrowth. I think particularly plants, because that made me just view plants a lot differently. There was when they kind of developed a new type of camera that could speed things up, so you could see plants interacting with each other in the environment and fighting each other, like strangling each other, and so yeah, that definitely changed my perspective on stuff. And then Life in the Undergrowth, I think that was the one just on insects and stuff. There was loads of stuff again that I'd already knew of, like in the garden, but just didn't know what they were up to, like ants farming aphids and cool things like that.
Yeah.
And actually just the life cycle of things like aphids that are like cloning themselves. It's just nuts.
Yeah. The like time-lapse camera stuff is so cool to watch. Like all of it, whenever they do it in like corals especially, because we do a lot of like educational outreach around corals and trying to explain what a coral polyp is and all the rest of it. Being able to show like time-lapse of corals feeding and all of the rest of it is really cool technology.
For some reason, I can't wrap my head around the coral polyp thing.
It's weird, isn't it?
I was somewhere at the London Aquarium where they were growing some, and they were trying to explain it to me. And so the coral is like the bone, right?
Bone? You've got coral's an animal, and loads of people think it's plants, but it's actually an animal. And you've got like individual polyps, which they can be like quite big, but usually they're pretty small. And then they basically are colorless. They're just see-through normally. But they have a symbiotic relationship with algae, zooxanthellae, which is like the most common type of algae for corals. And the algae photosynthesizes because it's plant, so it produces oxygen, which the animal needs, the coral needs. And the animal excretes calcium carbonate, limestone, so that it forms like a structural protection for the algae living inside it. The algae is actually the thing that gives it its color. So when we see like all the amazing colors and stuff, that's actually the algae, not the coral, which is what coral bleaching is, because coral bleaching is like a stress event where like some kind of outside factor, so usually it's warming or acidification, means that the coral, without trying to get too sciencey, but like the photosystem that allows photosynthesis to take place in a plant, it denatures because of the stress, so like the acid or whatever, or the warming, so it can't photosynthesize anymore. So the algae is useless to the animal, the coral, so the coral throws the algae out, which is why coral bleaching happens, because that's still coral that is alive metabolically.
I see.
But it doesn't have its algae in there anymore, so it's colorless. Like there's a difference between death and bleaching. Like coral bleaching is just when it's white. Coral death is when you'll see like other things growing on it, so like seaweed and stuff like that. When it starts growing on it, that's when it's actually dead.
So coral bleaching isn't that you can bring it, it's not dead, so it technically can be restored.
I mean, the big question is how, because like if you look at the Great Barrier Reef, that's been happening for like, they've had the biggest, I mean, I have friends that watch this that's going to correct me, but they've had the biggest bleaching events or repeated bleaching events since like 2015. It's been continuous, and then before that, like they didn't have a bleaching event since like the 90s. So we're now entering like a phase where we're just, obviously carbon emissions are like crazy high and we're just killing everything. So it's a question of like, how do you even go about returning the sea to the temperature that it's meant to be, the acidity that it's meant to be? It's, I don't know, big question.
Pretty huge.
Anyway, I got sidetracked on corals. So we talked about his documentaries. How did you become interested in conservation and plastics and that kind of work that you do? How did that kind of begin?
I think it was probably with the WWF I think it was maybe 2011 or 10. They asked me to go out to Africa, to the Virunga volcanoes, and do some mountain gorilla awareness.
Oh my god, stuff. That's so cool.
And like I think that was the first time I'd sort of been introduced to any sort of conservation stuff and any kind of education on it, and also then seeing the whether it was, with the help of everyone else, the numbers go up, and it actually worked. There was like 700 mountain gorillas left in the wild when I went out there, and now there's more than 1,000. In the 70s there was only like 300-400, I think. Numbers have got,
I was reading Gorillas in the Mist recently.
Oh, really?
And that is like, it's all about obviously the gorillas in that mountain range, and it's like, I think it's in the, I want to say in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really, really interesting. Like, aside of, because obviously I work in marine conservation, so my whole life is like about the ocean and conserving areas of the ocean or the animals in it, and I don't really know that much about terrestrial conservation, so it's really interesting to like learn about, especially the gorillas, like tracking and all of that kind of stuff. Did you do like that kind of stuff while you were there?
Yeah. We visited two different groups. One had been habituated since the 70s, since Diane Fossey's time. So those guys were really, really chill. They were really easy to track.
That's cool.
We got very, very close. They came right up to us.
God, that must be
Didn't seem to.
terrifying. They're gigantic, right?
Yeah, it was, but they just didn't. This group just didn't pay any attention to us whatsoever. I mean, just walked right past us to grab a root and start munching away. And then the second group was in, I forget which way round we did it. If it was in Uganda or Rwanda. But the second group took us about between like 6 and 7 hours to find. And then when we got there, this group had only been habituated for like 3 years. So the adults weren't very happy about us being there at all. We were really like quite far away. We were in this quite a small valley. So we were up one side, and the gorillas were like playing. The babies were playing with each other and practicing their little like chest pump things. And we were like getting some amazing footage to take home to raise some awareness. And then so our focus is in this direction, and then this tree just goes and falls down, and there's a blackback, so a teenage gorilla that's about to become a silverback, and so he was hanging on the outskirts of his group because he was being a grumpy teenager.
Yeah.
The tree falls down, and he just stares at us for a bit. And there's only a few rules with gorillas, like keep your distance, and if you get charged at, don't run. And so the tree falls down, and this gorilla's just staring at us for a bit, and then he gets up, screams at us. You see, like remember seeing all the decay in his mouth. He's only he must have been like 6 meters away from us.
Wow.
We saw the decay in his mouth, with the spit come out, and he slams his fists on the log that he just pulled down, and and screamed. I remember like in the ears, just and then he ran off. But I tripped over in an ant's nest whilst all this was happening as well. It was that was terrifying. That was
like how big is a blackback? How big is?
I mean, not as big as the silverback, which we actually then on the way back out, you have your trackers who are like kind of making a nice walkable path for you, and he cut down some down, and the silverback was just sitting there looking at us and did exactly the same thing, and that felt like it was like twice the size.
Wow.
That is, I don't really know how big exactly, but huge. And you can feel it, the power as well when they slam their fists down. The whole floor just shakes, and they're so loud.
God, that's
it's like standing
so
right
cool.
next to a PA, just like yeah, amazing. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah.
And how did you get into, because you wrote your book Plastic Sucks, what was the trigger, and like how did you get into like doing that?
So the WWF was like sort of an introduction to it, and then like that was kind of proof that it works, raising awareness. And then a few years later, it wasn't that long ago, I guess maybe 4 years ago, I was in California, and a really good friend of mine introduced me to this charity called Five Gyres. I don't know if you know those
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, really awesome. And we were just hanging out in the they had this garage that was like an Aladdin's cave of cool stuff from the ocean, and they're also paleontologists, so they had some fossils in there. And he pulled out this giant ball of plastic bags, like all kind of mushed together into one big ball that he found in this Marcus from Five Gyres found this ball in a dead camel's stomach in the Sahara Desert, because the camels just walk around the desert, and if they see something bright, they think it must be a plant, and they're programmed just to eat it. So this camel would fill itself up with all these plastic bags, and then can't digest them, can't eat any more food, so it dies of starvation.
Yeah.
And that was one of loads that he found out there that died in that way. So from there, he began to educate me a bit more on why plastic was such a big problem. And then, so I guess I wanted to, a lot of it was stuff that I was doing, like, I was using plastic bags and stuff. Those were the really obvious ones, but it was the microplastics that really shocked me, that was in toothpaste and face scrub and all of that I had no idea that I was using. So, and I felt as well that no one else, I hadn't heard of it back in the UK. I hadn't heard anyone talk about microbeads being an issue. So with the help of those guys and you guys, I was just taking like other people's graphic posts on Instagram and just trying to do what I could. And then from there it went to, I did some interviews with newspapers, and not claiming to be an expert on it at all, but just what I found was that people were just as shocked as I was that they were scrubbing their teeth and faces with
I guess it's plastic. It's the sneakiness, isn't it? Like I think that's what gets a lot of people. Like you try and live like sustainably, and then sometimes the plastics are named different things as well, and it's like how are you even meant to know?
Yeah. And it's the plastic bag thing seemed a bit easier. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, of course. But yeah, because the microbeads can't be filtered in any way, they just all end up straight out, millions of them in the ocean, from one tub of toothpaste. I think that night I went home, and the toothpaste I had microbeads in it, the one that I was currently using. So yeah, so it just kind of very spiraled really. And then I thought the one of the things I found was that it was the higher up I kind of got, or the more important the person got, the less they seemed kind of interested in making a change, or they just weren't convinced that people would change. So I thought, I'll write a book for the next generation.
Communication, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, kids as well are a bit more black and white, and if something's wrong, they're just like, well, let's not do it.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to teach, old dogs.
Yeah, that's true. I did a talk in school recently about plastics, and they then got their canteen. It was really cute, actually. Like, kids are really, as you said, they're just really black and white. So they'll just be like, okay, we need to fix this now, and then they'll just go about and fix it.
Yeah, there's no with the older people, I was finding it's but what about the economy?
Yeah, and what about this? And there's always a barrier. Whereas with the kids, one of the kids was like, we're gonna get they basically petitioned to get their catering company that does all the food at the school to stop using single-use plastics.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think they succeeded in getting part of it, some of the single-use plastic stopped, not the whole lot, but some of it stopped, which I mean is better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
So kids are just I think that's why a lot of people focus on the next generation. Like even with our like our community outreach work, we work with swimming is 4 to 18-year-olds, and then our teaching marine resource management is 10 to 13-year-olds. We do like active workshops with the adults too, but the kids are just like really receptive, and they just yeah, and they're the ones that are gonna grow up and have to make those changes as well.
Exactly. I thought the long game was better.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Yes, that's how I got into it.
Then, do you think you'll write another environmental book? And if you think you will, then what do you think it will be about?
I've already written one.
Oh wow, cool.
We're just piecing it together now. It's kind of what I found about the ocean one, the plastic one, was that it was so like quite depressing to write. Like every day I was kind of bombarding myself with just really like impossible stats that was like, oh my god, how this is so much worse than I thought. So on the side, to kind of keep me up whilst I was writing and to keep it kind of flowing, I was writing a book just on natural history, because that was going to be in the book in the first place, like an introduction to like how long it took the Earth to get to where it is, and so you just kind of have some perspective on it. So I'd already had this natural history thing going on, because I've been fascinated with that since I was about 3 and learned what a dinosaur was and that they actually existed. It's like telling like a Lord of the Rings fan that Gandalf actually existed. So the next book is natural history.
Nice.
Which is it's kind of finished.
Oh wow. So is that going to be out soonish, or
with the current what's going on now, that it was supposed to be coming out towards the end of the year, but it might be next year now. But I find that kind of it helps understanding how long it took the Earth to get to where it is now, and how many things have evolved for millions of years, been at the top of their game, and then wiped out.
I mean, it could almost make it a bit even more depressing in terms of like, look how long the Earth has been around, and look how short amount of time humans have been around, and look what we did in that time.
I think it makes us feel less immortal. And having a better understanding then on climate change, because the Earth is obviously constantly always changing, and like what is natural, what isn't, and what we're doing to actually accelerate it. And I felt like the two books actually do meet in the middle, but on the front kind of seemed like they're about two different things.
Definitely. Okay. Question about the environmental situation in COVID. How do you think we can still remain environmentally minded during this time?
I mean, it's hard, right? But I don't know. I think, I mean, I'm still doing the same stuff as I was. But like the thing is, it's just kind of, it has gone through the roof. I heard that like Wuhan has like 200 tons more plastic waste a day, or had. And I don't know what the stats are like everywhere else, but it just feels like it's just come at such a like bad time for all of that, like the climate change stuff. But hopefully, I think maybe I think what people have learned is that things can change. And it's not impossible. to have like big dramatic changes. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I think
difficult.
just keeping up all the at home stuff is still having a like huge effect, you know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's like, well, I guess we're going to cover it off in the questions anyway, but there's like swaps and stuff that you can still do at home, and like doing your part basically all
Yeah,
helps. They did say that
that
like,
part.
sorry, you go.
Sorry, I was just that part. I think maybe has become a bit easier because you are at home a bit more, and there's less kind of being out and buying food on the go and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Restaurants are obviously restaurants and like coffee places, so obviously not producing any waste right now or single-use waste. So that side of things, yeah, I think is easier. But then there's a whole lot of other.
yeah, definitely. There's been a big thing about like the disposable masks and stuff going into the ocean, because obviously it's like the healthcare has to use single-use plastics a lot because of hygienic reasons.
But my friend Lucy Seagull had some really good answers on it. We were chatting the other day, and she had some really good alternatives for this kind of stuff. But like, you know, there was that whole massive shipping problem that they had, and getting hold of natural materials or biodegradable materials is really, really hard right now because factories being shut down and stuff. And the virus actually lives on plastic longer than other fabrics and surfaces and stuff. So it would actually it would be better and more sanitary not to use plastic.
Yeah, it's all about convenience again, isn't it? Always comes back to that with plastics.
Yeah.
How can we continue to support the environment, kind of similar question, and local projects during this pandemic, do you think?
I think I feel like everyone the sense of community and everything is everyone's really that's really kicked in, and I don't know. Yeah, I think just stopping and taking a look outside, and it's like seed sale. I was really pleased to see that seed sales have gone up by like 1,000%.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Like I heard somewhere. I thought, oh, that's ace. That's how many other less bits of single-use plastic on some vegetables and stuff not being used now. Yeah, I think like all those little things like that will help.
Yeah, definitely. There's local initiatives that are doing some really cool stuff. There's like in London, there's a company called Oddbox, and they do like odd shaped veg that like gets rejected from supermarkets and stuff, that would go into like the waste because it looks weird.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
because it looks weird.
Yeah, because it looks weird. It's all about cosmetic stuff, isn't it?
That is amazing.
They basically put it all into like a box, and it's actually cheaper, I think, than shopping in the actual supermarket. And you can pre-order like a week or a month or whatever of like veg, or you can have like veg, or you can have fruit, or you can have veg and fruit, whatever you want.
It looks weird.
And it's it looks weird, but it tastes the same, right? So, and you're saving food waste. So there's stuff like that. That's really
cool.
Yeah, that's going on. That's like local businesses and stuff, and especially the small independents, I think, are really struggling during this time because, well, everywhere is shut. So I guess like, and even if you can't participate in like local initiatives, like if you don't have the cash to like participate, then sharing stuff online, because even if you can't do it, if you shared it and you can't donate or participate or whatever, then someone, like, even if one of your followers does it, then that's still helping that organization.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah, people being on their phones more might actually be a positive with this sort of stuff.
Yeah, in a social media might actually be a good thing in terms of like spreading awareness and helping reach, because now more people than ever are on their phones, so like it's reaching more and more people while they're at home in their house. Sorry, fly. But yeah, so now is great time to like get sharing, and even stuff like this Q&A, like we're talking about environmental stuff, right? So this will hopefully help people try and stay environmentally minded during
totally. And we don't have excuses now either. You know, in the past, I'm just so busy. When do I have the time?
Yeah,
I've got too much time now.
No excuses at all. Okay, what would be your must-have eco product at home for those wishing to live more sustainably?
Beeswax, the paper.
Oh yeah.
You know, that you can use instead of cling film. Love that stuff. You've got quite a bit of that, and that's yet to kind of use it up. It's lasted for ages. I've had this one bit for over a year, I think. Maybe more. What else has been good? Here we've got these reusable tea bag things, the pouches that you fill up the loose tea yourself.
Oh, cool.
That takes because of a lot of tea bags having
plastic and seals and all the rest of it. I think a lot of people don't even know about that as well, which is kind of crazy, like the seal of the tea bag.
No, I was quite late to that one as well. I was raised thinking you put that in with the compostable stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that.
Yeah. I think all those little tiny ones for me are like that feel like little life hacks.
Yeah.
Are the best. And it kind of feels a bit neater, especially the beeswax. I always feel like it feels a bit neater and like not so like just kind of gross.
Also, you can get them in cool colors, so you can have a funky lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. What's been your hardest eco swap? What, like, have you struggled with any of them?
I guess like food packaging and stuff like has been when you're kind of on the go, like when we're touring or like doing promotion or anything, and it kind of gets to lunchtime and you like, oh man, I'm starving, and it means that you have to buy like at least 2 items of plastic. Those are pretty hard. I'm trying to think of like other ones that I'm like, or like when you leave the house, or like I'll usually fill up the reusable water bottle, fill it up, and then like leave the house and then get to where I'm ever supposed to be going and be like, yeah, cool, I'll have that at home.
Yeah,
I've done that with the coffees. I just don't take coffee out with me anymore because I used to do that, make the coffee and then leave it. So I just don't drink coffee when I'm out anymore. Those are like just the habitual.
Yeah.
The ones I found the hardest. There's other ones as well. Like I now just try not to ever lose these things. Guitar picks.
Oh yeah.
They're it's not single use, but I can't find anything with that's the same, that feels the same.
Yeah.
I've used these like since I was like 11 or something, when I started playing guitar. So yeah, just I try not to lose those, or give them to like fans and stuff, and they make them into necklaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, if you have to, one of the things that we do here, which I think there is an initiative for it in the UK. I just don't know, because there was a big thing about like, obviously we produce more plastic than we can cope with. So I don't know how successful it is, but people can look it up. Eco bricks. I don't know if you've heard of them, but basically for us, what we do here is we collect the trash off the beach, and then but obviously we also use like our trash that we create. So if there's any plastic and stuff that's consumed in the house kind of thing, then it goes into a plastic trash bag. And then that's basically, we wash it, we cut it up, we dry it, and then we pack it into these bottles, which are like 2-litre bottles that we collect from the resorts, but it's basically any kind of bottle that you have at home, like Coke bottles or whatever. Wash them out, pack it really, really tightly with the plastic, like so you can't squish it. For us, we meet a minimum weight, so it's like 0.6 kgs is our minimum weight, which means it's like super, super tightly packed. And then you just glue the top on, and then that forms like a brick, so you can build things out of it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's
so that's
awesome.
used in like local construction projects. So there's some stuff. There is a whole, like, there's definitely a Facebook group called Eco Bricks UK, and basically you can make the eco brick, like there's quite strict guidelines, but you can make your eco bricks at home and then post them to this initiative, and they use them.
Oh, sweet. That's cool.
Yeah. Obviously if you want to like construct something in your garden anyways, or like any party, like you can do that. But in terms of like sending off and stuff, there is strict guidelines though, because obviously you need to do it well to be able to use it in construction. But yeah, that kind of stuff I always, because I feel I'm the same, I feel like guilt when I have to buy something with plastic in it. So at least knowing that you can do something with that plastic afterwards makes...
That is also like kind of what I've loved about being at home so much, is that I haven't really had any of that that guilt, because it's all just you know, a lot of it's without it, and there's always somewhere to recycle it.
Yeah,
because you've got your own system going. You're not relying on anyone else's.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And we've answered loads of these questions just by chatting, which is good. What do you think are the most valuable species to conserve in the future?
Oh, that's like, you know, asking what my favorite kid is. I think they all are, right? Like if you take one out, then you're affecting the next one, and so on. They're all just from the smallest right the way up to the biggest. Which is what I found actually interesting about the microbead stuff, is these small bits of plastic were going in the ocean, and the smallest fish was eating them, thinking that they were another fish egg or something, and then that was working its way up the food chain, and poisoning all these other fish. So yeah, I don't think I could pick one.
I think it's more of a case of like, well, we're at the point where we need to conserve everything, right? We can't just like, it's whole ecosystems that we need to be conserving, rather than like
exactly
species.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that there's obviously some species that might need some, you know, at the time with the mountain gorillas and stuff, some special attention. But
yeah, I
think you're right. Just large areas as a whole, is better.
I asked my friends if they had any sensible questions to ask you, and they said, if you had to be a shark, which species would you be and why?
Which species of shark? Well, I would have said whale shark.
Yeah, they are pretty cool. They live a very chill life.
They do. But I think I've changed my mind now after we were chatting before, and you said that they're not that smart. So, well, maybe that would suit me very lovable.
Well, whale sharks are still very pretty, and they're very lovable.
Okay, maybe I'll stick with a whale. Either a whale shark or, I mean, great white is the most famous, right?
Yeah, very badass.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'll stick with whale shark.
I think I'd be a hammerhead, because I love evolution. Like the reason that they have their hammer is because their electroreceptors, which is one of their sensors, they use it they have like, so their favorite prey is like stingrays, which bury themselves under the sand. And they have all the normal like sensors, which gets them to within like a meter of the ray. And then the electroreceptors, which every living thing in the world gives off an electric signal. And the electroreceptors on the underside of the hammer pick up the electrical signals that the stingray produces. So basically within the last meter, it helps it actually get the stingray. So you can watch like videos on YouTube of
that's so cool,
stingrays like hovering over sand patches, and then bam.
And is that also how they navigate their way around the ocean as well?
That's a really good question.
So they all seem to, you see those footage of them all heading in the same direction together, and there's like a big kind of swarm of them.
Yeah, so that's usually, I mean, there's loads of theories about it, but that's usually more like seasonal related, and like temperature, all of that kind of stuff, and currents, I think, rather than the electroreceptors. The electroreceptors are more of a hunting sense, because the electroreceptors are those black dots that you always see if you like Google a shark's head, and you can see like the black dots in it. Those are all the electroreceptors. Always. That's why they say if you ever get bitten by a shark, you're meant to punch it in the nose, which would be very horrible for the shark. But I guess if you're being bitten.
Yeah, if I was being, like Nick Fanning, surfer.
Yeah, there was a really funny article. I was thinking about that the other day because I was out surfing, and there was a really funny article written from the shark's perspective, being like, I just wanted to be friends with you, but you hit me in the face.
That's awesome.
It was
have to forward that to me.
Yeah, it was really well written. It was like written as if the shark was a fangirl, and just wanted to come say it. Have you ever been scuba diving?
Yeah, in Australia.
Nice.
When I was like 19, on the Great Barrier Reef. That was amazing.
Yeah,
I was like more fearless back then as well. Now I'm like scared of everything. But yeah, I'd never done it before. I think they gave us some really, crash course training on it. Just threw us in, and that was incredible. It was the first time seeing the reef. I think that area is gone now.
Which bit were you in?
We were we set off from Cairns.
Nice.
So, and would have been I think a couple of hours on the boat. So around that area.
Yeah, they've had really bad bleaching. I was out there in 2017, I think, and they had around Lizard Island, they had like so much bleaching, and well, to be honest, around most of it, like I was lucky. I was working for a liveaboard, so we went out like friggin' miles out to sea, and we were on like the outer Great Barrier Reef, which is less affected. But from my understanding of it, I think the stuff that's like close to shore is been really, really heavily affected and bleached, basically.
Damn.
Yeah, there was a big debate about it, actually, because there was a guy that wrote an article called The Obituary of the Great Barrier Reef, as if it had died. But as we were talking about earlier with like the bleaching and the death, it's actually two different situations. And this person wrote this article not really understanding the difference, and it went viral. Like it was everywhere. Like my Facebook and Instagram feed were just this article, like everyone's sharing it. And loads of scientists got their funding pulled. Like the tourism industry took a hit, like loads of bad stuff happened. And then like eventually some people wrote a counter article being like, no, that's not actually the case. Like it's bleached, it's not dead. There is a difference. But obviously that didn't go as viral.
I mean, it worked on me. Like I'd heard that as well, and thought that bleaching meant death. Until just then when you said. Yeah. That's such a shame when things like that happen.
Yeah, exactly. But well, hopefully in some somehow the reefs will recover if we can change our behavior and help tackle climate change, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
Because I've got to do a webinar on coral reefs tomorrow, and I've just been writing the slides for it, and it's a bit doom and gloom. So
yeah, that right. Look, when I was doing the plastic socks, that's what it felt like.
Yeah,
it was
every
so
lecture I
much.
do on it, I'm like, I do the Jesus, sorry. I do like what are coral reefs and all the like fun, and then it's like the threats, and then it gets darker and darker, and then it's like, this is the situation that we're in now, and then I'm like, how do I wrap this up without being like the end of the world is coming? And then I'm like, this is what you can do to help, and try and like get people to be positive about it. And then I always end up apologizing to the teacher afterwards and being like, I'm really sorry that was a bit negative, but science.
yeah I think as long as I mean, I really do believe that we can turn it around and make a huge difference. So as long as I felt like I was putting that in, being optimistic about it, then I felt like it came across well, and kids came out of, when I was doing like talks as well, like similar to you, kids were coming out a bit more like pumped that they could do something.
I think it's important to like
crying.
To like be realistic, but also be like not so doom and gloom that everyone's just like depressed and feels that they can't make a difference. It's important that people
totally like when I was younger, when I was at like primary school, and we were taught about the Amazon rainforest, and they were teaching us about deforestation, but there was like no they just told us it was happening. There was like nothing we could do. It's just like, it was a minute, an area the size of a football pitch is disappearing every minute. Okay, so should we stop maybe buying chairs made of wood, or like what can we do?
It's frustrating when there's not like at least something, even if it's small, that you can do to help. Okay, last question. Do you have any conservationist, I think we should say apart from David Attenborough, that you admire especially?
You know, I really liked I think it was only recently he passed away. Was his name Rod Stewart? Was it Rob Stewart?
Yeah, as
right.
in
like
Sharkwater.
It sounded like Rod. Yeah. I saw his first documentary, like I think it was probably like 10 years ago or something, and he completely changed my perspective on sharks. And I had like no idea actually about all the hunting that was going on at that such a insane level. And I was really looking forward to his follow-up to that as well. So it was really sad to hear that he passed away just not that long ago. I thought he was ace.
Yeah, he was very, very cool. If any of you guys watching haven't checked out his documentary already, then do. I think Sharkwater 2's out actually. I haven't watched that yet.
Seen that. I was really looking forward to it, but I didn't get once I heard he died. I was like, oh wow. I think someone told me it's more about his life, because he obviously never got to finish the documentary. That's what I've heard.
I remember watching Sharkwater. We actually have it because we have like a few documentaries that we like, educational documentaries that we show like students that come here and stuff, and try and get people to like, it's just a different way of learning, and that is one of them. We have like Sharkwater, Racing Extinction. That's amazing. One of my faves.
That was insane, that one. I think I
Yeah.
went to some sort of like screening or premiere of that
Wow.
with the director. I think it was that one.
They're like the
The
Ocean
same.
Preservation Society is just amazing. Like I love those guys. Like, Racing Extinction is my favorite of theirs. Like it's
Yeah.
so eye opener about the illegal wildlife trade.
The same dudes as the Cove, right?
Yeah, yeah, and Blackfish.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, they're also on our educational movie list.
yeah. So good though, those documentaries.
Yeah, and the other one that gets people thinking a bit more is Before the Flood, the Leonardo DiCaprio one. That's one of the ones that I think gets people thinking about their diets and like climate change and all of that kind of stuff. I really like that one. Less marine-y, but still like sustainability related type stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I like that when it's has a bit more of an optimistic view on it.
Yeah.
But you know, but giving you the kind of the hard facts, but it's otherwise I don't feel like people are motivated to.
Got some calls to action and stuff. It's got to have
when you
some.
feel like there's nothing you can do,
Yeah.
it's all just doom and gloom.
Yeah, it's got to have some positivity in there. Okay,
Totally.
then I've got some quick fire questions, which is just fun questions that we do with each of our Q&A guests.
Cool.
So there's 11 of them. Favorite ocean creature?
Octopus.
Ooh. Favorite day of the week?
I've met one that waves. Sorry. Can I
What?
just?
That's so cool.
I've met. Do you ever see that, like Instagram or there's like a viral video of an octopus that waves?
I feel like I should have seen it, and I might have seen it at some point, but I can't remember.
I met that octopus.
That's so cool. Octopus are pretty cool. I had one attack my camera once on a dive, which was really weird.
That's awesome. And so I ruined your quick fire on the first question.
No, it's all good. Favorite day of the week?
Monday.
Plastic free or eco products that you can't live without?
Tote bags.
Favorite beach in the world?
Tulum. I think there's an area though, but it feels like it's one long beach in Mexico.
Yeah. Beautiful place as well. Last song you listened to?
It was a new Mcfly song.
Dolphins or sharks?
Sharks.
Good. Favorite holiday?
Favorite holiday? A trip to damn, which one? Which trip? It's one of the Africa trips I've done. I love Africa.
Nice. I do too. Woohoo. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or speak to animals?
Speak to animals.
As a superpower, teleportation or breathing underwater?
Teleportation would probably come in handy. I don't like being cold.
Also, I feel like we're already getting to, like, technology can probably get us to breathing underwater at some point, maybe.
Well, plus as well, if you could teleport as well, you could just teleport up for air, then go back down.
Yeah, that's true. What book would you take onto a desert island with you?
Watership Down.
And first thing you're going to do after lockdown?
Probably watch Netflix.
Didn't get enough of that during lockdown.
No. They'll probably put something really like, Tiger King 2 up or something. when it's all
maybe.
over.
Cool. Before we wrap up, do you want to say anything to the audience or anything like that, or add anything to the Q&A?
I don't know. I mean, I hope everyone is well and staying sane, and still doing whatever they can to make their, not have such a impact on the earth, and still recycling, or still staying away from single use, which I think people are. Sorry.
No, it's all good. Thanks so much for participating in this.
Thank you very much for having me.
So this will be on our YouTube with our other Q&As, so you guys can check it out there. And if you've got any questions, you can shoot us a message on our Instagram at Love the Oceans, or any of our socials, but I think we're more active on Instagram. Cool. Thank you very much, Dougie.
Thank you very much, and I hope you have an awesome day.
Thank you. You too.
In paradise.
Thanks. Ciao.
Wicked. All right, take care.
Bye.